So next we're going to go over what we call the 5-number summary for a set of data. And what this is essentially it's these 5 numbers that we have either found or calculated from our data set, where it's our minimum, our 3 different quartiles, Q1, Q2, and Q3, and then also the maximum. And then now what we like to do with these 5 numbers is to create a box and whisker plot. And what this is it's just a visual representation for the spread of our data and where each of the quartiles are essentially sitting in the data set. And what this looks like here is we always start with a number line. So we need a number line that is accurate and has a scale to it. So here I just have dashes to represent that I'm going up by some value. But since I'm just creating sort of a vague box and whisker plot display here, I don't actually have numbers written. But on any that you create, you should have numbers written on the number line with an accurate real-life scale to go with it. So then on this box and whisker plot, some people will create it directly on the number line, or you can draw it above like I have here. But we have this line going through, and this is what's called the whisker of this. And the left edge is the minimum value of the data set, and the right edge is corresponding to the maximum value of the data set. And these are the values that they would correspond to when we draw it down onto the number line. And then within this, we have this box. So looking at the left edge of the box, that is where Q1 is at, the 25th percentile. And then the right edge of the box, that is where Q3 is at, the 75th percentile. And then lastly, somewhere within that box, doesn't have to be directly in the middle, it's wherever the data tells us it should be, is Q2, the median of our data set. So that's essentially what the box and whisker plot tells us. And now this visual representation, it gives us a little bit of info about where the data is at and how close together those data values are within these regions. So looking at this in this example that I drew here, our distance between Q2 and Q3 is very small. This is not telling us that there is less data values in that region, because actually all of these regions have the same amount of data values. Remember that picture that I drew at the beginning of our quartiles to show that it broke our data set into 4 equal parts? These are those same 4 equal parts, but now this is just telling us how close together all of those data values are. So this region here between Q2 and Q3, it's just telling us that that 25% of the data is very close together. They're very close together. Versus this next section here, my upper 25% of the data between Q3 and our maximum, it's a very large region here on the box plot, which means that that data is very far away from each other. That 25% is very much more spread out than the other 25% that I highlighted. So now let's work through the example here to create the box and whisker plot for our 19 randomly monitored cars on I-90. So we have some information that we already found in the last video. We found that Q1 was 66, Q2 was 71, and Q3 was 75. We also have some other information. We have that from that data set, the minimum value was 59, and the maximum value was 80. So now with this, that's our 5-number summary. Let's draw the box plot for this. We already have our number line here numbered, so I don't have to renumber it or anything or draw a new one, but I just need to input this information on to the number line here as a box and whisker plot. So I'm going to start with the minimum and maximum, and I'm just going to draw it on the number line to make it a little bit easier. So my minimum is 59. So I'm going to draw a line at 59, and then my maximum is at 80. So I'm going to have another line there, and I'm just going to connect them together to create the whisker going through my box plot. And now I'm going to draw in the box, which has the left edge at Q1, which we have that being 66. So I'm going to draw a taller line at 66 for my left edge of the box. And then the right edge of the box is at Q3, and that is at 75. And I can connect these together to create a box. And then lastly, we need to draw a line going through the box at Q2, the median, which we have as being at 71. So I'm just going to draw a line going down through 71. And this is essentially what our box and whisker plot would look like for this data set. And then you can take a look at the information. We had broken the data into 4 regions. So if I highlight them all separately here, a little bit of information that we can get is that this upper 25% of the data between Q3 and the maximum is a bit smaller than the lower half of the data or the lower 25% of the data between the minimum and Q1. So that tells us in the upper end, the data values are a bit closer together, while in the lower end of our data set, they're more spread out. They're farther away from each other.